This is Tales and Whispers, where every story is felt, not just heard.
Today, we're diving into a story from Italy that really makes you stop and think, what truly makes a family? It's a story about one choice, a single decision that flips everything we think we know about love and strength right on its head. Just imagine it. You have this dream you've held on to for years, and then one day, out of the blue, a little piece of news comes along that doesn't just change your day, it changes your entire life. That's exactly where the story starts. So let's meet Luca Trapanese. He's a single man from Italy, and for pretty much as long as he could remember, he had this one deep, persistent dream. He wanted to be a father. Now for Luca, this dream always felt like something way off in the future, a distant hope. But, life has a funny way of surprising us. One day, word reached him about a child who desperately needed a home, and suddenly that distant future was right here, right now. So who was this child? She was a newborn baby girl, and she was born with Down syndrome. Almost from her first breath, she was facing a really tough and lonely reality. I really want you to let this number sink in for a second. More than 20. Over 20 different families were given the chance to adopt her, to give her a home. And every single time, the answer was no. She was passed over again and again. So why? What was going on? Well, the reasons were all born from the same place: fear. People said the responsibility was just too big. The exhaustion would be too much to handle. The road ahead looked way too hard. And it points to a difficult truth, doesn't it? For so many, it was just easier to be afraid than it was to even try. But this is where Luca's story veers off in a completely different direction. While almost everyone else was stepping back, he stepped forward. He actually paused to think, and what he saw was fundamentally different from what everyone else saw. And here it is, the crucial difference. Where society saw a case to be managed, a disability to deal with, a burden to carry, Luca saw something so much simpler. He just saw a child who was completely alone. His focus was on the most basic human things you can imagine. She needed a hug, she needed a home, she needed someone, just one person to look at her and say, "I'm here, I'm by your side." That's all he saw, and to him, that was everything. So, in a moment that I'm sure many people would have called totally reckless or crazy, Luca saw it with perfect clarity. To him, it wasn't reckless, it was a decision. And so he did it. He applied to adopt her. Of course, people questioned him. Someone even asked him, why would you carry a burden that's greater than your strength? But Luca's idea of strength was just different. He knew his real power wasn't in his bank account or his physical strength. It was love. And with that one decision, everything changed. A brand new chapter was about to begin for both of them. Can you imagine that moment? The first time he actually held her in his arms, there was no awkwardness, no feeling that she was a stranger. He said it just felt like she was someone who was always meant to be in his life. She was just running a little late. And the name he gave her? Alba. In Italian, it means dawn. It's that first light you see after a very long, dark night. And for Luca, that name was perfect. She was his new beginning. But their story was really just getting started. As it turns out, their life together would teach some of the most beautiful lessons imaginable. Luca is always very honest about their journey. He'll be the first to tell you it is not some perfect fairy tale. Yeah, there are easy days, but there are also really, really exhausting days. And then there are those little moments. A sudden laugh, a hug out of nowhere, and in an instant, all the hardship just melts away. And here's the most beautiful twist in their story. The very same child that so many people were afraid of, the one they saw as a burden, she became his greatest teacher. It was Alba who ended up teaching Luca what being a father was all about. And maybe the biggest lesson of all was this: a home isn't just walls and a roof. A real home, it's a heart that makes a choice every single day to stay. So what can we take away from this incredible story of Luca and Alba? Well, it kind of lays out a simple but powerful roadmap to compassion. It's really 3 steps. First, just try to see the person before you see any label. Second, take fear out of the equation. And third, Replace that fear with mercy, with compassion.
And maybe this is the final takeaway. The very thing that people reject because it's different might just be the most beautiful gift you'll ever get. But it takes courage. Someone has to be brave enough to choose it.
So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. The next time you meet someone who's different from you, which lens will you look through? Will you see them with the eye of judgment? Or will you try, like Luca, to see them with the eye of the heart?